Why do you want them to listen to your podcast?
So that when they think about starting a business, they've got the content that is pointing them in the right direction.
That is such a valuable piece of advice there.
The change in mindset makes a massive difference.
Welcome to Aussie Lawn Stars.
So welcome, Chris. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
I've been looking forward to talking to you. I had a couple of people recommend you and say, hey, get Chris Vogel on the other end and have an interview and can chat about all sorts of things. So we'll see what sort of nuggets we can dig up.
Yeah.
But we just discovered, just starting the interview, you're almost within hugging distance.
Yeah. I don't know where I picked up the idea that you were down in Victoria from.
Yeah. So we'll actually see each other face to face next week, all going well.
Yeah. The Lawnies Expo.
Yes, that's it. Up in Nelson Bay. So I'm in Lake Mac, or not in the lake, but out the west side of the lake.
Yep.
And you're up Nelson Bay? Yeah,
well, situated in Madawi, but I primarily work over in Nelson Bay. Yeah.
So just out of Raymond Terrace.
Yes.
Far enough out of Raymond Terrace, you don't have to associate with them.
Yeah.
We'll say that a little louder for people like Grant Osborne who might be listening in.
Yeah. No, look, I've got a couple of clients in Raymond Terrace, and they're not shocking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll focus Nelson Bay.
I think the place has picked up a bit over the years. Certainly, when I was a kid, it was not known for being the best of places.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
But I think it's had its share of Air Force and mining and whatever else involved there.
Yeah. See, Madawi gets the over, like the flying of the planes.
Yep.
We're not too far away from the airport, and that's a bit annoying.
So do you get Air Force traffic or more?
Yeah.
Do you get the commercial air traffic as well?
Visible, but no, we don't. It comes in over more Raymond Terrace way.
Sucked in Raymond Terrace.
Yeah, it comes in more over the dam and the terrace more than us. We see them.
Yeah.
But Air Force wise, we get them all the time. They are constantly above us doing their circles.
And they're pretty loud.
Yeah. They are.
I've been up on Stockton Beach numerous times when they do a flyby up the coast there, and you certainly know when they're coming through.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've ever been to an air show at the airport there, it's pretty fantastic.
Is it good?
Yeah, well, it's years ago since I went to one. I didn't go to the most recent one.
Yep.
But yeah, it was good. I think they had. What I heard, the most recent one wasn't as good to go to because they had to put a lot more safety measures in place now. People are just getting a little too woke.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, but we want to talk all things lawn care and business. So we should start by asking if you ride motorbikes.
What was that? Sorry, if I like motorbikes?
Yeah.
I did. I did back in the day when I was a kid.
That's one of the things I always catch people is start talking about motorbikes and then we never talk about their business.
My motorbike obsession lasted until I've had a few too many accidents, and one of them left me pretty worse for wear.
No, it's not good.
And I said I won't get back on them.
Fair enough.
A big worse for wear one, yeah. A couple of years recovery till I was back on my feet.
Ouch.
Properly.
Yeah.
Couple of years off. Big time bike rider when I was a kid. I loved them.
No, when you get a little bit closer to your midlife, you might have to get back into motorbikes. Just looking at your baby face, I'm guessing you're a couple of years younger than me.
Yeah, I'd 32 last week.
There you go. So 16 years younger than me.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So, Chris, in spite of your baby face, you've got some experience in our industry before you started running your own business?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
So a little backstory to that, from the motorbike recovery.
Okay.
Working for a bloke down in Belmont in Lake Macquarie through Jim's Mowing was my first my first actual returning job. I did a little stunt at Lee Rowan's,
Yeah.
just as kind of like a little get back into the workforce kind of
And
thing, because I had about, I think it was like maybe 6 years off work,
yeah.
like recovery.
Lee Rowan's is a well-known nursery on this in this area for people who haven't heard of it.
Yeah. Sorry, I should specify that.
All good.
Talking to someone who's local has just now kind of eradicated the need to explain where things are, because I know you know when I say it. But yeah, sorry. So I did a little stunt at Lee Rowan's for a couple of weeks just to get back into the workforce, and then I took on a job with Jim's Mowing down in Belmont.
Yeah, okay. So assisting somebody who was running a franchise there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And that was 2019 to it spaced me. I think it was like 4 years, 2019 to 22, 23.
Yeah, okay.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, can't even recall that.
So 4 years experience working for someone else.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you would have learnt a few things from them. Hopefully some good things and not just bad habits.
No, yep. No, I don't think I learned actually many bad habits at all. I learned very quickly how to break bad habits.
Yep.
I also did, I had an elbow injury when I was working for him, and I spent a lot of time actually off work.
Oh, no. No, not good.
Well, yeah, it wasn't. I spent a lot of time, obviously, in recovery for the actual issue, but when I came back to work, I was put back in a supervisor kind of role.
So he had a few employees then. It wasn't just you.
No, yeah. Three cars, I think, at one stage. So 6.
Yeah, awesome.
It was a good crew.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he chucked me back into kind of get back into work in the aspect of like training, supervisor, managing, as best you can use those words in our industry.
Yep.
Back into that. So I kind of took on the responsibility of hashing out those little bad habits, so to say, which in turn taught me all of the right things to kind of do when it came my time.
Oh, well, that's good. It's an insightful position for you to be in his business, helping with some of the business administration, I guess, in one way to look at it.
Yeah. I never sat down and did the paperwork. But he did give me the run of what was expected on each job and what was train them doing this, train them doing that, oversee this, make sure this happens. And it was that little bit more in depth, I suppose, than just getting on the whippy all day and doing your edge and blowdowns and getting on the ride on and doing the mows.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that put you in a position where you're starting to think about things from a business perspective rather than just an employee perspective.
Yeah, I had to because there was, if you rock up to a job that takes 40 minutes with 2 people, I'm sitting there twiddling my thumbs for 35 of those 40 minutes because I'm not on the tools doing anything.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to the clients. I'm getting to know what they want next visit. I'm kind of jotting down, not quoting in the sense of quite literally giving them the price for what the work's valued at, but doing a lot of I'll talk to the boss and see if we can align that up, and I'm sure next visit we can fit that in, and stepping off the tools more into that kind of, I suppose, boss kind of sense with the clients, which really, really showed me a lot.
Yeah. So that's interesting because you're more motivated from that position than you are when you're just one of the employees on the tools.
Oh yeah.
And you've got somebody else telling you what's expected of each job or correcting you when you're not doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, a lot of responsibility fell onto my shoulders because I was also the third person that was standing, over the top of them, making sure there wasn't edges missed or parts not mowed properly or slow down skipped. So a lot of responsibility, part of me, did fall onto me from yeah, that kind of just, you get into the routine. You know the job so well. You know if you're on the brush cutter for that job, what you got to do and what's required of you to get out and get it done. And
Yeah.
the same thing when you're on the mower, but until you get to a kind of certain level, you don't really pay too much attention to what the mower bloke's doing, and vice versa. And then when you're chucked into the other position, you've got to pay attention to what both are doing 100%. And
Yeah.
yeah, you are somewhat forced to learn a different aspect about the job.
Yeah, definitely.
Much more detail, I suppose.
Efficiency is the thing that rules a business and the decisions you make as a small business owner. Right Mowers give you the options in their product lineup to match efficiency with size, fuel usage, and the type of jobs you want to target, from catching to mulching or side discharge, from roadside verges to acreages, and manicured lawns to 6 feet tall and super long. I've been using the Right Stander I 42-inch with a Catch Pro for manicured areas and the Stander ZK61 to maximise productivity for large open acreage mowing. If you need to replace your push mower, try the 32-inch Stander B. If you have more open access to residential properties, there's a 42 through to 48-inch option that suits you. And if you want to enter the acreage market, the 52, 61 and 72-inch machines have choices in engine size and model type to suit the work you want it to do. Right Standards go the distance, saving you time and money, season after season.
We were just talking about when you were working for Jim's Mowing as his manager or supervisor on the job.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a tough one to actually put the job title to it in this industry, because I don't think we really, until you kind of get your crew of.
I would call it a team leader.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you were doing was essentially a team leader. I don't know how many people you had working on the team, but you said 3 vehicles.
Yeah. I only ever worked with 2 people, so it was 3 of us at a time.
3 people in one vehicle.
Yeah.
And I guess that worked well when you're injured, so the other 2 are carrying a lot of load. When you don't have an injured person, you'd probably be better off with 2 people instead of 3, maybe.
Yeah. We found 3 never worked when it was actually 3 people on the tools. That was it worked, but it was always one person had, if the job took half an hour, one person only had 10 minutes responsibility and 20 minutes break.
Yeah, look, I think in the right environment, 3 people, 4 people, 5 people can work.
Yep.
But you're talking larger jobs where you've got unlimited number of tools available, right?
Yeah.
So you can have 2 people on a ride-on mower. You can have 3 people whippersnipping, or somebody blowing, somebody whippersnipping, somebody push mowing, somebody ride-on mowing, or 5 people in a garden doing some weeding.
Yeah. For your normal, just 200, 300, 400 square meter resi blocks.
Yeah.
3 was there wasn't enough work for it to actually work.
Well, this is important because this is what everyone wants to listen for when they start their business. That's the jobs they want to do. They want to do 300, 400, 500 square meter blocks, knock them out quickly, make $80 off each job, and there's your business model, right?
Yeah.
So if you're talking those sort of jobs, you don't want to carry more than one push mower. You might have a backup, but not.
I mean, I personally like to. I did when I was running the petrol stuff.
Yeah.
I've recently gone over to battery.
And you don't need a backup anymore.
Yeah, which is, I think it's like one of the, it's you play a bit bigger of a gamble, I think, because, if something goes wrong on your battery, it goes wrong. Where if, something plays up on a petrol, you've got a few little things that you can fix on site and then keep going, where if something goes wrong with the battery gear, you're done. You, unless you're an electrician, you don't really know what you're doing, so you're done. So the risk is a little bit bigger not having a backup one, but.
And I guess this is a insightful business topic, a bit of a rabbit hole for us. Sidebar, no, not a problem, but it's one of those things. A lot of guys will go, "I'll run a battery whippersnipper and a hedge trimmer and a blower, but I'll keep petrol tools as a backup, or I'll keep petrol mowers and I won't go to battery for the mower." You've gone to battery for the mower, I guess, by the sounds of it.
Yeah. But started with that exact logic. I started with the brush cutter.
Yeah.
And ran that for probably 3 months, 3-4 months before I decided. But I was running the backup. Sorry, I was running my main and backup mowers as petrol, and the main one just had a little bit too big of an issue with it that it got to the point where it was like, well, it needs to go in the shop, it needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
You're going to be dropping, $1,000, $1,500 on getting it all back up and running. And I was looking at, $2,000 brand new mower going, well, that just, like they don't really, that doesn't make any sense to me. Is why would I pay $1,500 to hope it's back up and running as well as it should be, or $2,000 for something that is running good. So
some theoretical issues here, some things that are worth asking, and I've got no brand loyalty here. I will say when I'm sponsored, and I will say if I think a brand is worth sponsoring me. But what brands have you gone with the battery gear? What have you found?
Ego.
Yep.
Yeah, if that's how you pronounce it. It's Ego. Yeah. So I've now got their commercial range stuff. I've got both the hedges, the small handheld, and the
short pole.
Yeah, not the extend. Well, I don't know if they make the.
Well, in the commercial lineup, they've got the stubby one, and then they've got the pole one, which is still a short pole.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. So I've got both those. I've got the whippy, the mower, and the edger.
So have you got the STX 4500 whip?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And
phenomenal.
Sorry.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. It is, isn't it? And
yes.
I think out of the tools that you've mentioned there, that is probably the highlight in terms of them hitting it out of the park with these tools. They're all great tools, but that probably is a highlight. I don't actually like it though.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's good. Don't get me wrong, but there's a couple of reasons why. One is the weight side of things. So I prefer a lighter weight battery whip. And the other one is the runtime. So I've got a Husky whip that gives me significantly lighter weight and significantly better runtime.
No brainer.
But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The Ego STX 4500 is a great tool.
Yeah. Okay. In comparison, what kind of power does the Husky put out?
So the Husky I'm using is 525.
Yep.
And off the top of my head, it's around 1 kilowatt.
Okay.
So I think the Ego might have more power, but the Husky has higher revs, so it feels more like a two-stroke petrol in terms of the rev range.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And yeah, we're talking comparable amount of battery size. You're getting better runtime, so I would get with the Husky sort of 30 minutes to an hour runtime. With the Ego, I think you're down lower than that. And there is another Husky that I use which can get up to 2 hour runtime.
Whoa. What amp, like what size batteries are we talking here?
So the Husky batteries I use are their 300 size, the BLI 300. That's a 9.4 amp hour, which, what is that, 36 volts times 9.4 amp hours gives you the watt hours, whatever, 300 something watt hours.
Yeah, okay. Wow. How heavy is that?
Lightweight. So the whip without the battery is 3.1 kilos, I think.
Okay.
3.1, somewhere in there. And then the battery weight on top of that. So it's super lightweight. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to sell Husky gear. That's just the tool I'm currently using.
Yeah. No, I only asked because you're actually the first person that I've outside of reading comments, you're the first person that I've actually been able to talk to that says, I run Husky stuff.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I'm intrigued because I read a lot of people say it.
Yeah.
But I've never actually spoken like one-on-one with someone. So that's...
Yeah. So there's pros and cons to both of those brands. And I actually, out of Husky and Still, I prefer Still for most tools.
Yeah.
But I went to Husky for the battery lineup because when I started battery in 2018, Husky had the better battery tools.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking very closely at some still battery tools by comparison to Husky, and like we just said with Ego and the Husky, like there's clear pros and cons on either tool. And with still, it's the same. There's pros and cons either way.
Yeah,
But
so I run the backpack link.
Yep.
So
that gets your weight down quite a bit.
Oh yeah. I do that with everything but the hedging.
Yep.
I just psychologically don't trust a loose cord flapping around while you're dealing with the hedger right there, and it's you either tie it onto your body and then you've restricted your movement, or you do have an obstacle kind of flapping around with you. And so hedging I don't. I just run the 5 amps for those. But whenever I've got like a job that's anything probably bigger than a 300 square block, I chuck the link on and put the
backpack battery.
Yeah, I think it's a 12 amp. I can't remember if I got the 12.
I think they're bigger. I think they're up around 20 amps, unless you're just plugging the like your normal cartridge battery on the link.
Yeah. So it's the link. It's not the actual backpack battery. It's the one that you can just put whatever battery you want on it.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
That is really interesting with Ego, and I'll say it from my perspective, my observations having used a lot of Ego tools. When you get a bigger battery on an Ego tool, you get more power.
Yeah.
So if you put the 5 amp battery on the whip, then the power delivery is lower than that 12 amp battery by a long way.
Yeah, okay. So that's not just me.
Have you got the Ego blower? Which blower?
No. So I still run the Steel. Is it the Magnum 800?
The BR800, yeah.
Yep, and the BG 56, 86, whatever the handheld is.
Drop your handheld, your BG. Drop it and get the Ego blower.
That's the next. That's the next go.
They've got 2 available at the moment. So you've got the 1,300 meter and cubic meter an hour, I think it is what they're measuring, and they're bringing out a new one which is 1,500. But they've also got their big commercial one. It's got the top handle on it, which is 1,700.
Just looks.
But
it doesn't look suitable for lawn care. It looks like you're going into like some war zombie scene. I think
it's competing with your BR800.
Is it actually for a handheld?
It's not as good as your BR800, but that's its target, right? So you grab that with your backpack battery, your 20-watt backpack battery.
Yeah. Okay.
And off you go. But yeah, if you get their 1,300 or the new one that's about to be released, the 1,500, which is like only a few weeks away, I believe.
Yeah. Okay.
Then put the 5 amp battery on it, and just hold the trigger with the turbo flat out. Get used to how it actually operates, so you're not just trying to guess the difference, and then chuck a 10 amp battery or a 12 amp battery there with the backpack link. And you will notice it revs harder, it blows harder, it goes better.
Okay, because I have wondered that about the brush cutter, but it's just always been in the back of my mind. It's never been something that I've kind of ever followed up or asked. But I've always wondered if the lower amp batteries don't deliver the same output, because when I do those big jobs where it takes me an hour to edge just the property, I'm noticing that the 3 different levels on it. I'm noticing that there is a significant difference in level 2 compared to level 2 with a 5 amp battery on it.
Yeah, definitely. So the battery tech behind it is interesting. Some of the brands are moving to different types of lithium batteries which handle that power better, which means you get more consistent power output all the time, whichever battery you're running. But with a battery like that, and most of the current lithium batteries are like that, what happens is you're pumping, say, 330 watt hours of power from a battery. So say if you're talking the Ego 5 amp battery, 330 watt hours of power roughly.
Yep. Don't quote me on that, but
I have to do the maths. But what's happening is it's channeling all of that power through 2 electrical leads, a positive and a negative, right? So it's going out one and back in the other to form a circuit, right? the amount of efficiency that's in that is limited by the size of the cells in the battery and the size of the wires connecting the cells together.
Okay.
So you go up to a bigger battery, what you're doing is instead of having, for argument's sake, say you got 12 cells in a battery, you got all these wires going into one wire, all right, from each of the cells down into one wire. If you, instead of having 12 cells, you've got 24 cells, you've got all that extra power coming down in there, even though it's converting all into the same 56 volt system. It's all this extra energy that's available when you pull the trigger.
Yeah, okay.
So the bigger the battery, the more cells it has, and they're configured in series and parallel, right? So you've got enough batteries in parallel to make up the 56 volts, and then they just bank them in series from that, right? So think of it like having 6 Weet-Bix in a bowl, and then you stack 6 more on top of that.
Yep. Okay.
Right. So they go, all right, that's 56 volts, and then we just double it. That goes from your 2.5 amp to your 5 amp, double it again, you get 10 amp, double it again, you get more, right? So your 12 amp battery is, that's the whole heap of banks of batteries to get enough cells.
Yeah, okay.
To get that power.
You're obviously going to sit there with a lot more power at the trigger.
Yeah, it does. Even though it's still the same voltage, the current available to pump through that lead is, it's like turning on a fire hose instead of a garden hose.
Yeah, significantly higher. Okay. Well, thank you for that, because that's always just been a thought in the back of my mind, and I've never followed it up, and I've never done anything about it. I've just always wondered.
Yeah. I've had Barry from Ego on for a couple of interviews, and we talked about that on one of his interviews, talking about the fact that you know your bigger batteries perform better.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, if you get the chance, get that Ego blower.
Yeah,
it's good.
It is on the next purchase.
It is good. I'd say once you get that, that'll be the top of your favourite Ego tools apart from the whippersnipper.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. That big handheld one with the handle on top just looks like, just looks too big. Admittedly, I've never seen it in person, so I'm just basing this off their level of advertisement they do.
Yeah,
it just looks, and I'm just thinking, geez, that must be like difficult to hang on to and hold on to, and then with the amount of power that thing's going to be producing, and it looks a bit awkward to kind of hold, and that's where I'm sitting there going, well, quite like my backpack.
Yeah, well,
I quite like it sitting on my shoulders, and
yes,
yeah, the
definitely.
weight.
And once you're used to having the backpack on your shoulders and the way that it functions, it's a powerhouse. Yeah. It's got more blowing power than you need for most things, and it'll blow for an hour at full throttle.
Yeah.
So it's hard to replace that with a battery tool because the battery tools don't stack up by comparison. But so your 1,300 cubic meter an hour one, I think, is what I'm suggesting you look at. And the new version of that will be 1,500.
Yeah,
they are comparable to. So the take away all the other numbers. Look at the Newton meters of force that they have. That's the one that tells you where they fit in.
Yep.
So they pump in around 26 Newton meters of force. All right.
Do you know by any chance what the 56 does on the steel?
Not as much.
Yeah, okay.
Not as much. Right. Even the 86 is the same as the 56, just got more cushioning in it. It's got anti-vibration handles.
Yeah, okay.
All right. But if you look at the backpack blower I'm using, the BR600, that's going to be somewhat comparable to the Ego with the top handle on it in terms of brute force.
Far out.
Your 800's next step up on that.
Yeah. Yeah, the 800 only comes out for the big jobs.
Yeah, so if you need to blow...
I very rarely pull that out for a resi. I service a petrol station in Heatherbrae, and it comes out there because, I've got to spend about an hour doing the whole blowdown in,
That's why people have backpack blowers, right? Yeah. Because of those jobs. Like if you're pulling a backpack blower out to do residential jobs, you suck.
It's or just you're making way too big of a mess.
Well, yeah, overcompensating for something else.
Yeah.
We are talking about blowjobs after all.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at a backpack blower, it's got that 1 hour runtime at full throttle, and that's what battery needs to achieve before a backpack battery blower is going to be worth looking at.
Worth it, yeah.
But for your handheld jobs, battery is king. It's so
Yeah.
much better than petrol.
Yeah, okay. Well, it is on the cards. It is the next purchase, but it's one of those purchases that's kind of like, well, I'll get it when I need it.
Fair enough.
Like when I bought the mower, I thought for a very long time now, I've wanted to go battery. I'll get it when I need it, and
sure.
I took the mower in. It was a $1,500 fixed price tag or a $2,000 brand new mower price tag, and I went, well,
yep.
So
that's it.
Yeah, maybe the
Easy
time will
choice.
come where the handheld gets the back burner, and out comes a new one.
Yeah. And if that's the attitude you've got, you'll probably find the new ones available before you need it. So you'll be looking at a little bit more power again.
Yeah, it's also probably one of those things that I'll need to burn through all of the air filters and spark plugs that are in my shed before I buy it.
The sad thing is, I had a BG56 blower.
Yep.
I think I got 10 years out of it. So you could be a little while before you get to that point of going, it's time to pack it in.
That's an unfortunately good piece of information, because this thing's only would be going on 3 years now. So
it's one of those tools that just lasts, and because it's only getting used for 2 to 5 minutes at a time, it's not getting a hard workout.
Not at all.
But the second BG56 I bought after that one died, I think I had it for about 12 months and it fell off the back of my trailer. Wasn't happy about that.
Survive?
Somebody else got it.
Okay.
I turned around and it was gone.
Yeah.
I was like, damn.
Bugger.
Yep.
Jeez, that's...
Yep. It's a hard lesson to learn about making sure your tools are put where they're meant to be.
Yeah. Strapped on properly is one of the things that I was very drilled into me when I was working down in Belmont.
Yeah.
Make sure they strap those brush cutters on properly. This was before the Defender racks came. Is it Defender rack?
Yep. Yeah, equipment defenders,
before that came out, it was the old 2 L-shaped brackets from Bunnings and one of those little Gorilla Loop things.
It did the trick just fine, didn't it?
It worked. It worked wonders until someone forgot to strap it on.
Yeah, you don't forget that twice because the boss won't let you.
No, he was not happy about that. But
no, not at all.
Good learning curve for everyone, for the whole 6 of us.
Yep. Yeah, won't happen again. So, Chris, we've taken some rabbit holes.
Yeah.
Let's go back to your story. So you left working for Jim's Mowing for the franchise down in Belmont.
Yep.
And what did you choose to do from there?
So this kind of all fell into there's more to this story than just deciding to leave and start my own franchise, or start with my own business or work for a franchise.
Yeah.
February that year. Gosh, that's going to make me look bad. I can't recall if it was that year or it's February the year of. So
was this in the middle of COVID?
Yeah, 2022.
Yeah.
So
come out the rear end of COVID.
On the back of it, we had our youngest boy Oliver, and in that midst, we were living in Newcastle, and my family's from Coffs Harbour, my partner's family's from Tamworth, and we didn't really have anyone in Newcastle.
Yep.
And we went, we had the family discussion of we need more support. We've got the young one on the way, and then in that February to Christmas kind of time period, we planned what we were going to do and how it's going to happen. And in that 10 months or whatever it was, came the transition from wanting to leave and start my own business, because we had decided that we were going to leave Newcastle and move back to my family in Coffs Harbour.
Yeah, okay.
So in that transition period, we were like, well, we've got to leave this job anyway, so what are we going to do when we get to Coffs? And I went, start my own job. Like, just do it myself. I mean, yeah, we just took the gamble and went off and joined into a new franchise.
Yeah, okay. So did you join up with gyms?
No, joined up with Fox Mowing,
Yeah. So Fox in Coffs.
first one, which was also the promising kind of jump.
Yeah.
Was, I spoke with Leo from Fox, and he said, "Man, that'd be great. We don't have anyone in Coffs," and yeah, it was like it was meant to be. It was, we're moving up there. It was the new start. It was with the family. It was around my family. It was the first Fox in the area, and yeah, so it was a very promising kind of transition between, I suppose, outside of quoting, and handling the kind of invoicing admin side of things. I was pretty much doing everything at the previous job anyway, and I figured,
Yeah.
it'd be a pretty good time to transition over and start doing it for myself, and
Yep.
why not?
Fair
So
enough.
we did that and jumped into it.
Yeah, okay. So I'm sure you would notice some differences between Fox and gyms, and I don't want to get into a big debate as to whether one's better than the other, but you would have found some obvious differences and some subtle differences.
Not really.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm assuming there definitely would be,
Yeah.
but
I guess you were working as an employee when you were in the gyms model, right?
yeah,
So that'd be
wasn't
different.
I wasn't far enough up in that aspect to kind of understand that side of things.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like I said, I never saw the books. I never did the book work. I never called the clients, did
Yeah.
quote. I was just more of, like you said before, a team leader.
Yeah.
Two that were out there. So yeah, I never really saw that side of gyms to understand if there was a difference in between the two.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so your run with Fox in Coffs Harbour, how did you find it getting new leads? Did you build it up pretty quickly?
Yeah. Hit the ground running.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So they, obviously being the first Fox in the area, I feel went a little bit over the top with it.
Yep.
And I was getting people call me before we'd even left Newcastle. And I was like, hang on, pump the brakes here a minute. I've given my start date to be in about 6 weeks' time, so we can, pack up, move, get up there, and I've got emails coming through from Fox being like, hey, we've got this client that wants you as soon as you're up there.
So you wouldn't have had a trailer and the tools?
No. I had nothing as of the long before. I was getting emails of clients or potential clients saying, like, we know you're not starting until this date, but when it does, can you please, can we please be number one for a quoting? And
oh well,
like December, early January, and I'm thinking I'm starting up in. I've put in the middle of February, like.
Yeah, well, that's a good feeling because you know you're going to hit the ground running, like you said.
Yeah. Which was obviously one of my big fears, leaving stable income.
Yeah.
Rocking up to someone else's workforce to starting my own.
The other big fear that would be there is you're going from being an employee to handing over, and I'm just going to guess $30,000 to $40,000.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The average franchise, you got somewhere around $20,000 to buy in, and then another $10,000 to $20,000 worth of gear to get started, depending on how you set up.
Yeah, that's pretty much nail on the head.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that also on the other side of things did come very fortunately to me through inheritance.
Yeah, that makes it a lot easier.
I was given the very fortunate position of having that kind of capability of, going, okay, well,
yep,
this isn't actually, if it doesn't work out, it's a bad mistake and a good loss of money, but it's not. There's no like big loan to kind of get back in the workforce and get paying it back because it's still coming. The repayments is still there each week. So I was very fortunate in that sense.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
it definitely was a pretty, it was a pretty scary moment. I mean,
Yeah.
you're leaving stability to figure out how to be stable yourself.
But you have hit the ground running with that, with them pumping not pumping the brakes, but pumping the leads.
No, it was almost too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a very short-lived stint. We moved back to Newcastle 8 months later.
Okay, yeah.
So it was a very short-lived stint. That's
So Leo would have been chasing to get not just replace you, but probably to get 2 or 3 people running Coffs Harbour.
I do think so, yeah.
Yeah.
It did take a little while to replace me, but I think that is his, obviously, as anyone in his position, his overall goal is to get that area filled, not just have one bloke kind of there.
Yeah.
We moved back to Newcastle. My partner has MS, and we were coming back down to the John Hunter
Yeah.
almost a little too frequently.
Yep. That's
It
hard to
wasn't-
deal with, especially in business. It's pretty hard to keep up with the business requirements and just doing your daily stuff.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with a dependent that's
Yes.
medically got high needs.
Yeah, and in saying that, the hard part, it wasn't taking the couple of days off to come down here to do what we needed to do. It was more the frequency and the length of it just wasn't outweighing what we were doing in Coffs. We just said,
Yeah.
what are we doing here? Let's just move back.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So did you stay with Fox coming back down to Newcastle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For a good period there, I was doing both Fox in Nelson Bay and Fox in Coffs Harbour.
That's got to be training.
That was tiring. I'll give you that. That was tiring, which was worth it in the end because it was the same thing. It was again starting new, no clients.
Yep.
Starting afresh, but holding on to Coffs also meant going back up every 2 weeks for a week that brought in income.
Yeah.
And it kept us afloat while we needed to. It was definitely tough, but
so it was helpful, but at the same time, it would have been one of your biggest challenges to deal with.
Yeah.
I can imagine, like if you're just doing a regular local mowing run, you check the wheel bearings on your trailer every 12 months, and you're going to probably do that regardless because you've got a rego check and you've got to make sure they're tight. But if you're doing a lot of Ks going from Newcastle to Coffs Harbour and back,
you're checking every trip. You're checking every trip.
That's a lot of Ks.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the tiring part was loading everything up and unloading everything, which I know sounds a little bit odd given the magnitude of what I was actually doing. But, when you go away for 400 or 500 kilometers away, you take everything you need.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
That gets pretty tiring. Then having the mental note of writing all that, loading all of that, taking it all up there. And then obviously you've got your trailer chock-a-block full, so you've got to unload it so your day's not capable of working, and then load it all back up and come back. And
I can appreciate that. So I've got the luxury of having a 12 metre by 12 metre shed where I store tools.
Yeah.
And there's no way I could take all of the extras in the trailer for a 400k journey.
Yeah, for a week. And then you come back and unload it all again.
Certainly you would take the things that you perceive to be necessary, and you might have to do an extra trip to a mail shop every now and then. But
Yeah. Green bags never really made the cut. Now, if I forgot the bundle of green bags in the shed, I forgot the bundle of green bags, I'll go to Bunnings and buy more.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
That would have been very tough. So okay, so you moved back into Nelson Bay.
Stayed at the mother-in-law's place in Lemon Tree Passage.
Okay.
Silver Bay, until we got our house here in Medowie.
So you would have been running around Tanilba Bay when my daughter was getting married at Tanilba House then?
Probably. Yeah, there was quite a few weddings while we were up there, actually.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful place. Yeah, I've got one client just around the corner from that. That is a stunning place.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty decent, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, there you go.
Mm.
Yeah. So with getting yourself transitioned back down here rather than doing both, you and I'm getting to the point here. I think you reached a point where you're still with Fox doing that, or did you? What point did you leave Fox?
No, yeah, so definitely still with Fox doing all that. I left Fox this year in February.
This year. Yep. Okay, so that's much more recent then.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Almost annoyingly, we fell short just being able to pull it off on the 2-year mark to the date, which I thought would have been a nice little like come and go full circle, but I think we fell maybe 5 or 6 days over it.
Yeah. Fair enough.
No. So yeah, I did all that with Fox, and
yep. So you established a full run again in Nelson Bay in that area, Tenilba Bay, Lemon Tree Passage.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All
right. So
down in August. It was like August to Feb.
Yep. And so you're saying about 2 years with Fox.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So in that time with Fox, were you aiming to fill up 5-day week or 6-day week, 4-day week?
4
days a week?
Yeah. I was aiming for the kind of, if you were to look at it on the schedule, maybe 4.5 that you squeeze into 4 with really good efficiency.
Yep.
Because like I said, my partner having MS.
Yep.
Pretty comfortably means there's at least 1 day of the week where something's on, and I need to be at home dealing with, like, taking it to an appointment or being with the kids, so I always aimed and endeavoured to only work 4.
Yeah.
But the realistic goal was to try and make it 4.5.
Yep.
And just make it really efficient. So it is 4, like 4 actual days out of the house, but fitting in that extra half day work just to bump it up a bit.
Yeah. So I've had a lot of people ask me, can you run a business doing 4 days a week, like part time, rather than doing 5, 6, 7 days a week? And the answer is you can. I guess the underlying question is, am I going to make enough money?
Yeah.
And there's only one person who can decide that, right?
It's you when you tell the clientele your price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is doable. And I would argue that for most people in Australia, a 4-day week in running your own business can be quite financially viable. You can achieve financial goals by doing that.
Yeah.
You will find some people, shout Grant Osborne, for instance, who think you need to work 7 days a week no matter what.
Yep.
But no, I think he does try and take a day off. He just believes that being available when the business is needed is more important than looking after your own stuff. Like, obviously, he's trying to be balanced, but yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that's where I'm in no bad terms. I'm forced to be balanced.
Yeah.
I don't really have the choice to say no. Sorry, I've got to work 5 days a week, because I'm quite literally my partner at home going without, because I've not been able to be there and do it. So I'm in a position where it's kind of like I've got a limit to what I can realistically do until the switch comes where I hire someone to do it for me.
And I guess this is where some people would say that's unbalanced, Chris, because they look at it and they go, no, you can't possibly make enough money doing 4 days a week when you've got a high needs wife that needs to go to hospital regularly for treatments.
Yeah.
And your answer to that is, well, I'm doing it. It's working. And so balance for everybody is going to look different. And you've made it work for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Big shout out to her too, because she's understood, coming from owning a business herself. She's come from the very much understanding, I get it. You need to work, and that is a requirement for us to live.
Yeah.
and there is a lot of support there to do that. So, as anyone does, we in our industry, we have big days in summer and small days in winter, and it's there is a large amount of support to be able to get out of the house at 6:30 in the morning and be home at 7 o'clock at night over the majority of summer.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean everyone has their own challenges, but that certainly is a big challenge for you to manage running a business and looking after family.
Yep. And then we threw a 3-year-old in the mix as well, and
Yeah.
that throws its challenges every morning.
Yeah. So I'm gonna assume and probably gloss over if there was any major challenges with you leaving Fox, but I'm assuming you left on fairly good grounds and for reasons to start your own business.
So the reasons is, to put the easiest way, is limitation on where I wanted to go with my own business.
Yeah.
Compared to the business model that Fox is. The limitations, they don't exist if you're happy to do it under that name. If like take Grant for example, he does quite a lot of work under the gym's name that doesn't, isn't on the side of the trailer.
Yes.
It's not what gyms are out advertising, but he's made it work for himself, and he's figured out how to do that, and he does it.
Yeah. And I think that's true of any business model, right? When you're talking franchises, somebody else owns the IP behind it. So you do have limitations there in terms of what their business is trying to achieve or what they're offering you.
Yes. And it's that exact limitation that I sat there and went, no, I'm no longer interested in kind of pursuing that. I would really like to pursue down this pathway, and taking advertising for example.
Yeah.
There's I assume this is similar with gyms. There's your franchise territories where you're not allowed to kind of advertise yourself in those territories, and there's 3 Fox. Well, there was at the time 3 Foxes living in the one suburb.
Yeah,
I was for Nelson Bay, and the other 2, one was for Medowie, and the others for actually, I do believe, Port Stephens. So
right.
I wasn't able to actually get out there and advertise in Medowie, even though I lived here, and that was a limit to me, being like, well,
yep.
Yeah, I know I chose Nelson Bay, but Susan 3 houses down the road's asking for a lawnmower bloke. It kind of annoys me that I can't poke my head up and say yes.
And I guess there's ways around that with different franchises, but ultimately, and a recent interview I did with Matthew Wandmaker was a similar story. He was targeting commercial work, and he did one thing different to you. He bought, I think, 3 different franchises within gyms so that he was looking after 3 areas, allowed him to grow his business bigger.
Wow.
So that's one method of what people have been willing to do to grow their business.
Cool.
He ended up saying, "Hey Jim, shake hands. I'll go separate directions because I'm targeting commercial work." And like you're saying, like they're advertising to a specific demographic. So the commercial work wasn't Jim's target market.
Yes.
And
it makes it quite hard for him to get out there under the gym's name and target commercial, that kind of work.
He could target commercial work, but Jim wasn't targeting it. So he's bringing the work in, Jim's not.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, let's shake hands. Jim's has worked well. I'm not getting the value from being in the franchise, particularly with 3 franchises. Shake hands. See you later. I'm running a commercial business.
Yeah. And that was the same with me with Fox. It was where I want to go requires a specific, push of clientele.
Yep.
It's not just your mow and go kind of blokes. It's not just your gardening, and it's more detailed, and that required its own kind of set of advertising for one. And Fox was just, they had their caps on that. And
So can we talk about your marketing and advertising there, going into your own business now? But what I've mentioned on my podcast numerous times is that in business, people can give 3 quotes to a customer,
Yeah.
and thereby the customer doesn't need to go chasing quotes from somebody else.
No, they've got 3 from you.
So compare the base lawnie who's like, I just want to cut grass. I don't want to do any hedge trimming. Don't want to do any gardening. Don't want to do anything else. Right? They're very simple. This is simple business model. What I'm suggesting with a 3 quote model, and I'm getting to your business model by saying this.
Yeah.
And I've often worded this in a way that speaks to contractors, not the end customers, but I've got to start saying it in a way that reaches the end customers so that when you hear it, you go, oh yeah, if I tell the customers that, it makes sense, rather than what I was saying, which is you're my worst customer possible. The right way to word that is, okay, so the base customer is a neat and tidy lawn.
Yeah.
20 cuts a year, and that covers slower in winter, but fortnightly cuts most of the year.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what I would suggest to people is offer 3 quotes. Offer your base customer, which is neat and tidy. Your middle customer, which is where you want everyone to fall, right? And that, for me, is suggesting that's going to be neat and tidy, but we do a couple of extra services. So if it needs weekly cutting when it's growing really fast through the Christmas period, so summertime, I'm happy to step up and do 26 cuts a year instead of 20 cuts a year for that customer, and offer them a weed treatment or 2 weed treatments, a couple of fertilizer treatments, and a grub treatment. And that makes them, instead of, so based on $80 a cut, they go from $1,600 through to $2,500 or something like that if you're getting them in the middle line. And then if they're the top of the line customer, so neat and tidy, better, and best. Right, the best one is going to be, hey, I want weekly cuts all year round. I want to do top dress and scarify and fertilizer and whatever needs doing. And don't ask me, just do it.
Yeah, yeah.
This is where we're getting more towards your business model, right? So your 3 quotes might be all up in that high end rather than the base 20 cuts a year.
My bottom one includes fertilizing, weed treatment, wetting agent, 22 cuts a year.
So that's more in line with what I was suggesting for the middle customer. That's my ideal customer, right?
Yeah.
But I'd like them to go up to like from between 22 and 26 cuts a year. So if they that way, we know we've got capacity to step it up when it's really growing fast.
Yeah. And that's where I also leave on my my quoting to them that it is a flexible schedule. I don't specify my middle quotes are 26 cuts a year, which everyone goes, oh, it's fortnightly year round. And I go, nah, you're probably not going to want to see me twice a month in winter, especially July and August. I mean, if you've got any means of buffalo, you're like, what am I doing here twice a month? But you, on the other end, if we're feeding your buffalo a good slow controlled release in the peak of spring and summer, you're probably going to want to see me weekly to keep that
weekly through the holiday period when you're having a barbecue every weekend. You want it looking spotless.
You want it snick, and that's where my flexibility comes in. So like I don't specify on my quotes it's fortnightly year round. I just specify it's a flexible 26 cuts.
Yes,
year round,
according to what's needed.
Yeah,
to make sure it always looks good.
Yeah, especially if we get in the peak of summer, we get a week's worth of rain. Oh, you're going to want to see me a little bit more frequently. And I noticed this. I built this over the couple of years with Fox in the back of my mind, kind of just jotting down what does work and what doesn't work, and very sillily enough, I never actually wrote it down. So it's relying on my memory, which at the best of times isn't the best. But I did build that kind of structure over those couple of years of understanding what is required depending on what you put into your lawn. But yeah, going back to it, my top one is you just have the best lawn in the street.
Yep, no expense spared. Don't ask me about it. Just do it.
Yeah, I'll just let you know when I'm coming if you need to unlock the gate. That's it. Yeah, and you let me know if you're having something on that, like you said, you're having a barbecue or something on a Friday afternoon, and you don't want me rocking up Friday afternoon to do it. You just let me know, and you don't see or hear from me ever since. I'm just getting it done.
After inviting Sortscape in to share how their software can help your business, we created a link for you to be able to support Aussie Lawn Stars when you join. Sortscape will save you time and effort with scheduling, quoting and reporting so you can build a more efficient business. Visit sortscape.com/lawnstars now to join, and thank you for your support. Yeah, so I like using the terminology worst customer for the cheapest ones, which are still good customers, right?
Yeah.
And most painful customer for the one that wants everything done, no expense spared, but don't ask me, just make sure it's all done.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, you don't want to say that to the customer.
No. Saying that you're a pain in the backside because you want to invest everything into your lawn doesn't really fly. Not with the customer.
Not a good business model.
No, not if you want to go down that avenue as full-time work.
So the second part of talking about the ideal customer for you is your advertising and marketing side of this. So obviously part of your marketing is how you present to your customer, but part of your marketing is your advertising leg. So this is one of the reasons why you've gone independent, right? Because you can then choose how you target the demographics in your area.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I get to more specifically choose where and who, without knowing obviously who they are, because I don't know who lives in these houses technically. But there's some really nice suburbs in Nelson Bay, and I can specifically target those suburbs quite narrowed down to those suburbs very, very tightly, instead of just the kind of whole Tomaree Peninsula, which is Saltash, Bob's Farm, and everything in between. If you try to target those entire areas, you're reaching too many people for.
Well, I'll put this in my words, and then you tell me what you observe. But I've taken information from other people. I've talked to a lot of people because I'm podcasting, right?
Yeah.
The couple of things that make a lot of sense here is that the average across Australia seems to be at the moment, people will part with $80 when you turn up and do a service. If you're asking for $85 or $90 or something, like you can go 80 plus GST, you might fall within that acceptable range. Once you start asking for more money, they start going, well, what am I paying for? That's one thing that comes up. So it just seems universal across Australia. And so you've got to try and find people who are happy to part with a little bit more money to be your ideal customers. That's one thing that comes up. But the other thing that comes up is the type of marketing that works well. So in lawn care, my observations, the thing that people tell themselves is based on N equals 1. So N equals 1 means I did this, I got this result, therefore that is the only way the world works.
Okay.
And nobody else's N equals 1 matters. It's only my N equals 1 that actually counts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But what that leads us to is word of mouth is the only thing that works. And I'll give you an example here, right?
Yeah.
You're mowing Sally's lawn 3 doors over from your place. Sally's neighbour, Peggy, comes out and says, hey, Chris, you're doing a fantastic job on Sally's lawn. Can you do my lawn? Word of mouth, 100% success rate.
Yeah.
Right? But you go, all right, I want to try and find not Peggy, but I want to find somebody who wants their lawn to be 26 cuts a year instead of just tidy. I want it to be 26 cuts a year and a fertilizer program. So you start going, well, let's try doing a leaflet drop or a door knock or a letterbox drop. And you do 3 streets. So not just 3 people either side of Sally, you do 3 streets. And you get 0 responses. So N equals 1 says word of mouth works 100% of the time and a leaflet drop works 0% of the time.
Yeah.
The reality is that what people don't get when they do that N equals 1 experiment, the reality is you're talking 0.3%, and I stole that from Casey Devine, so recognise him for his marketing background.
Yep.
A lot of people don't like him, but for his marketing, he knows what he's talking about.
I think he has. I think he has a lot to say a lot of the time. I don't I don't know. We've even butted heads a few times on the LMCA page. But
no doubt.
Not in a negative sense. And I feel like he has quite a lot of good to say.
Oh, he has a lot of good to say, yeah, but he tends to rub people up the wrong way sometimes. But
yes,
nonetheless, that percentage figure that I've just mentioned comes from Casey. He knows what he's on about. He's got a lot of experience, not just in lawn care, but a lot of experience in marketing. And 0.3% when you do a letterbox drop or a flyer, that's what you will get as a reasonable result.
Yep.
Right? So you do 1,000 and you get 3.
Yeah, if you drop 1,000 flyers and you get 3
new
customers
customers
out of it,
that's great.
You've done wonders.
But people don't look at it that way. They go, we'll door knock 3 streets, or we will do 5 business cards either side of Sally.
Yeah,
and the results were 0. It's no wonder why, right? But
the
way your brain works is you go, well, I'm only going to do word of mouth because letterbox drops don't work.
Yeah, but then you're also limited if you only do word of mouth. You're only limited on the people that are talking about you and their work.
Yeah.
Then you've got to make sure that the right word of mouth is going around because, not the right word of mouth, sorry, but if you want to take someone from, God forbid, let's say 18 cuts a year up to 26 cuts a year,
yeah,
you need to be cutting 26 cuts a year for them to start talking around about you. Otherwise, you're never going to get it. You're always just going to be talked about at 18 cuts a year, and it's.
Well, you've got to find the ritziest street in the suburb where everybody's a billionaire and they're happy to have their lawn looked after, no expense spared.
Yeah.
To get that sort of word of mouth.
And if you get into those streets and you do those, as Luke Smith says, those 1%ers, and you just do that little bit extra. Speaking from experience, this is how I've picked up a couple of jobs where. Yeah. My bottom care plan doesn't include liquid fertilizing. It's just granular fertilizing. So over winter, it does die off. Not die off, but the colour does lack a little bit.
Yep, the colour will disappear a bit and it will be very dormant.
Yes, yeah. And
even in Nelson Bay.
And I chucked out a bit of liquid for one client just because I simply wanted to kind of pick up more work on that street. I did a monthly application of a handful of liquids in one tank, and I had one old bloke come across and say, "Mate, his lawn's looking amazing. Like, can I get you to come give me a quote on my lawn?"
Yep.
And yeah, I thank Luke for that. I've never met him, I've never talked to him, but I thank Luke for that. Just that 1%er, because my word of mouth approach in that sense was, I would really love more on this street. These properties are quite nice. These lawns are quite nice. This would be really quite a nice place to work more of. I'll just do that a little bit more for this client now.
Yep.
Which financial wise was, I don't know, less than $10 plus my time to put out some liquid fertilizer in his place.
Yeah.
But it resulted in someone coming across and asking for a quote and has resulted in another job.
So the technology behind what you're doing there, a liquid fertilizer, people might go, well, what's the difference, a granular or a liquid? They're both the same thing, right? A liquid fertilizer is often going to be enriched in different minerals, but it's often going to be a seaweed-based. You'll hear the word foliar come up, so it's absorbed through the leaf easier.
Yep.
And it's also being liquid, the roots in winter are going to find it, whereas a granular, the roots are less likely to find it in winter. It's going to be a slower uptake with the granular.
Yeah, so slow that it's, why'd you bother? In some aspects.
That is true of granular in winter. Why would you bother?
Yeah. If you're too late, yeah. But I think it's like 14, is it the soil temp's going to be 14 degrees and it doesn't do anything anymore? Which comes along pretty quickly. Unless you're out there with the thermometer each morning, it knocks on your door pretty quickly.
I actually bought a soil temp thermometer because I'm podcasting, and that sort of information is relevant. Talking to people like you, it's like, okay, we had on Friday last week a true frost. So the lid of my compost bin had icicles all over it, and And the grass, when you go, oh, yeah, it's just white, like it's a frosting on top of the grass or a dusting on top, then you had to look at it. It's like, no, that's actually the grass itself has frozen and it's ice.
I, for the first time in my life, outside of going to the snow, I, on that morning, had my windshield frozen and I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I kind of stood at my car and was like, what do I do here? Like, my windshield's actually got, a good
A layer of ice.
layer of ice over the top. And I didn't know what to do. Like, I just kind of sat there. It was like, warm up, I suppose. But
so, yeah, you get the old soil temp thermometer out, stick it in the soil and see what it looks like when it's like that.
Your granular is not going to do anything.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting. The soil temp is it's very relevant to grass growth in Australia. But it's funny because right the way across Australia, it doesn't matter where you are, the grass growth patterns are very similar annually. They just seem to slow down or come to a stop around the beginning of May, and they start back up slowly through winter. So towards the end of July, you're at about 5% growth. Yeah. And by the end of September, you're getting close to your peak growth. So it's not the beginning of spring. It's sort of mid-spring before you're getting back to your peak growth. And it's really December and January are your absolute peak.
Yeah. Yeah, which I actually had a bit of an interesting one last season where I noticed that we may have come into a little bit too much heat. And there was actually some, not by any measures, I throw around the word dormancy lightly here, but there was, you're rocking up to some lawns where you can see significant fortnightly growth, and then you're rocking up to some others and you're like, have you mowed in between? Because what's going on here? And they're like, no, we just haven't watered, and we had a week of high 30s and nothing's happened because it's just quite literally cooked and it's not healthy.
This is an interesting phenomenon, and you would notice this, right? Because you're in the area where you're going to get some customers that will never water their lawn and some that will be very happy to have irrigation.
Yeah.
And because of the type of customers you're chasing, you want ones that have irrigation.
Yes, please.
Right? What my observation, and because we're less than 100 kilometres away from each other, is fairly interesting to look at this across Australia. But up the East Coast, you will find most people will not use irrigation.
Mm-hmm.
It's only where they have spare money to throw at it. So if they have a very small yard and they're like, I want my lawn to look spectacular, how much does it cost to irrigate? Or they have a lot of money and they're like, we want, no expense spared. Let's make this look awesome. So if you've got rich customers or, they're trying to keep up with their neighbours on a really small lawn, then they might.
Yeah.
But because the east coast of Australia gets rain, and I think this year we've had a couple of times where we've had 100 mils of rain plus in one day.
Yep. Yeah, the RAF base recorded that, I think.
Yeah.
I'm going to say at least 3, maybe 4 times in a month.
Yep. We had some flash flooding around my place with that.
Yeah, same here.
Cars getting washed off road, sort of flash flooding.
Oh, wow. Okay. We didn't cop it that bad. There was a couple of river streets.
Yeah.
We didn't. Not that I know of. Okay.
The interesting comparison that I'm making here is if you talk to Luke Smith in Perth.
Oh, irrigation heaven.
Irrigation, or don't call it irrigation, reticulation.
Yes.
They have it down to a fine art. This is how much water you need to apply. This is how it works. And you use fertilizer as well. And this is what you will get nice green grass as a result. Right? If you mess up, somebody switches off the water or somebody doesn't fertilize, then you notice it very quickly. And if it gets a little bit too much water, you get dollar spots. So all the different things that they deal with in Perth. On the East Coast, unless you get a dry spell like you were talking about, like a bit of a dry spell, and I've seen a few in 15 years I've been in business, then the grass stays green from September through to May.
Yeah.
And reasonable, quite nice.
Yeah.
But you get spots where it's actually growing so fast you can't keep up unless you go to that weekly cut.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen numerous years, more often than not, where you get a dry spell for 2 weeks plus, and the grass starts to change color. It doesn't just stop growing; it starts to change color. And
Yeah.
if you mow it, you're making a big dust pond, and it's just miserable. And you go, okay, why am I doing this?
Yeah, that's where the good face masks come into play.
Well, the customers don't want you to be there. They're like, well, why are you cutting this? It doesn't need it.
Yeah,
You're just
that's
killing
what
the
I'm
grass.
saying. I had a couple of customers. They live up on the top of the hill, and it was a hot week. It was very windy. 3 weeks. By no measures, windy, but they live at the beach on a hill, so windy.
Yeah.
And I send out my reminder message, and they go, "Hey, look, I know it's 2 weeks and it's in peak growing season, but like I'll send you a photo that nothing's really happened." And I'm looking at the photo, going, "Wow, so much has happened. You don't understand. Like, can we get some water on that, please? Like, I don't want it to die on me, essentially."
And that's what happens if you don't get some water on it, then it starts to brown off. And most of the time, you'll get rain again before it actually does permanent damage. But I've seen numerous lawns where, there's a dead patch there that's just not going to come back unless we get 3 or 4 weeks of rain.
Yeah.
And even then, you end up with areas where there's a lot of clay or there's some rock in it and whatever else like that, and it doesn't come back. Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I unfortunately have that at my house here in Madawi. We're only renting, so it's a hard one where you don't want to invest too much into the lawn because it's not my property. But there is just a section that doesn't get sun in winter, and we are all clay based everywhere out here. I have aerated it so many times, it's not even funny. Top dressed it, and it just every winter. I think we've been here for 2 winters now, and it just grass needs light to grow. It needs sun to actually grow, and unfortunately, we do have Sir Walter here. But even that, you need actual sunlight onto it for it to grow, and every winter it just dies off. And with all the rain we've had lately, it's not the nicest looking yard.
I'll share a bit of a trick that I've found works really well, and I'm sure you already know this, but I'll say it. Improving the soil profile makes a world of difference.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I've done this on my yard. I own my yard, so I can do what I want, and I'm not worried about it as like you are, whether it's a rental in that situation. But there's several chook farms local to here.
Yeah.
What I've done is I've taken my trailer, which is a high side, fully enclosed trailer, like 1.5 meters high, 1.5 meters wide, 2.4 meters long. So you're talking, 3 cubic meters or 4 cubic meters of chook manure?
That's a lot of manure.
Filled up as much as I possibly can, brought it home and dumped it on my lawn and spread it.
Yep.
All right. So when I bought the house, I did 2 trailer loads in my backyard.
How big's your backyard?
Well, my whole property is 1,600 square meters roughly. So we're talking a fairly decent sized lawn. I think there's close to 800 square meters of lawn in the back.
Yeah.
All right. And
that's an excessive amount of chicken manure for 800 square. Yep.
Well, when you're paying $50 for a trailer load, and I think he was charging $25 for a box trailer, and he charged me $50 for my trailer. Right?
Yeah.
It's cheap fertilizer.
That's really cheap fertilizer, considering it's $20 a bag at the big green shed. So yeah, that's really cheap fertilizer.
And it was nice and mature, so I made sure it wasn't too fresh, so it didn't kill the grass off. And coming through the first winter and through a small drought, look over the neighbour's fence and their lawns are dead. Mine's bright green.
Yeah.
So soil profile is the point, is adding nutrition to the soil profile will remedy or hide a lot of sins.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to be talking to a few guys about soil profiles over the next few weeks. I'm trying to get Monash on at the moment, Monash Organics, and another guy who's a horticulturalist. So, yourself doing a lot of treatment plans, talking to these other guys, the importance of making sure you have nutritional soil value.
All starts in the soil.
Yep.
Yeah.
You-
Like you
you
said,
can
you
add-
said on the phone to us the other day, you can apply I liked what you said, and I can't recall exactly what it was, but it was the sugary sweetener fertilizer kind of
Yes.
icing on top. I really liked that because the way I want to take my business and where I'm really pushing my business is based only around soil health.
Yep.
So that's why my entry level care plan is kind of, get rid of the weeds, feed it, have it healthy. But my middle goal is all based around building the soil's profile.
Yeah.
And then my elite one is that's if you really want to take it
Yep.
down that pathway. But my middle ground plan is basically build a better, healthier soil in your turf and minimize the amount of essentially, we build for a couple of years, so in 2 or 3 years' time, you've got a really minimal applications on your lawn because we've built your soil.
So there's a couple of things there, and I think you're in agreement with me on this, but I'll say it. You need to take over and tell me what your opinion is here, because your opinion is valid, and obviously it's your target market. I listened to Julio Tomei from Canada when he was podcasting in the early days, and he was saying that they made it impossible for him to use selective herbicides. And so he was achieving his best results by doing aeration and adding manure and compost to the soil. So
Yeah.
what I'm going to say is if you do an aeration and all you're offering is sugary fertilizers, then you're not really getting the benefit. You're not really improving the soil profile. You might get the roots going a little bit more active, but your roots are chasing the sugar and the water.
Yes. Yeah.
Whereas if you have a lot of nutrition in the soil, so you fill those aerated holes up with compost and manure, then the grass will find the nutrition instead of chasing something hallucinogenic.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually having a discussion at the moment that's been going on for about a week now with a gentleman on a Facebook group. He seems to be taking a day or two to reply to each of the comments. But he made a post basically saying, this is my plan, and this is what AI has recommended is a good plan for my area. And I commented on it being like, hey, like, take that with a grain of salt because AI has no idea what your soil profile is like.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a computer.
It's made some massive assumptions.
It's made all of this is literally just based on the information it can find on the internet. There's no actual statistics about your place.
Mm.
And yeah, he came back to me being like, why does soil health matter if my lawn looks good? And I was like, oh, okay.
That's where you go, yeah, that's fine. Go for it. I can recommend somebody else.
Yeah. Well, I looked at it and went, I actually replied back to him saying, how in depth do you want me to go? Because these comments could get quite long. And he replied wholeheartedly and genuinely and said, no, I would really like to know because I don't see the difference if I apply this fertilizer and my grass looks good. Then why would I bother?
Yep.
And I was like, well, that's the whole point is that you can if you build your soil to a certain degree, your grass looks as good without the fertilizer. And if that's your level that you want to get to, you can pump out your fertilizer every month, 12 months a year, for 10 years, but it's never going to fix it because you're never addressing the actual growth of it. You're just sugarcoating it.
Yeah. I can sell you fast food or I can sell you organic vegetables.
I actually used an analogy of someone on steroids saying, if someone eats clean and they train well and they build their strength, they will be strong. And someone who takes steroids will be equally as big, but once they stop, a year later, the guy that's been training and eating really well for the same period of time will be strong and will be healthy, where the guy on steroids will have lost it all.
Exactly.
Because the fundamental of where he began was eating well and training well, and the fundamental of a good. I don't know the name of it, but the guy you just spoke about from Canada, I feel like I've seen a snippet of him saying that he doesn't actually apply anything to his lawns.
Yeah,
at
so his
all.
name's Giulio Tomei, and he was doing the Lawn Care Business Success podcast and a YouTube channel with the same name.
Okay, I feel it might have been him because that was this a couple of years back.
He's been podcasting for ages, but he just released a podcast last week saying he's hanging up the boots for podcasting at the moment. So it's been years since I've listened to him. Like you would have been in school almost.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. Well, it might have been him because it really caught my attention, being like, well, hang on a minute, like that's the way to go. No one wants to be out there applying herbicides 4, 5, 6 times a year and fungicides. Like, geez, that stuff's. It's really good. It serves its purpose. It does what it does. But if you can stay away from it, stay away from it. That's the goal.
Exactly.
If you can get the results with staying away from it, why aren't we all doing that?
Build a good quality soil.
Yeah. And going back to your comment about the irrigation, I've found one of the biggest catch-22s seems to be the places that do have it built in. They're either, like you said, the wealthy that want the best and they understand the importance of it, or a lot of these new builds have them put in when the turf went in because that was just maybe an upsale that the landscaper did at the time.
Yep.
But then you've got the new build quality and you're going on to the new build rubble and you're like, oh my God, what are we even watering here? Like,
You've noticed the same thing I've noticed. The amount of new builds I've been to, and I got asked to look after an entire new subdivision back in the early days, and they fired me from it because I'd called them out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Come and look after the lawns and the gardens for us, they said. And there was like 25 houses going in this subdivision. And I did. And then they said, oh, we've got army grub. And I'm like, all right, I can take care of it. Come in and spray the army grub out. And I did it. And then they said, oh, there's a problem with the gardens. And I said, yeah, that's because you've planted stuff in clay. You've not put any soil in there and you've put barely a whisper of wood chip over top of the clay. It looks crap. There's no soil there. And your grass is exactly the same. So every time you get any grub or weed or fungus or anything come through, it decimates your whole subdivision because you haven't done it right. And they're like, see you later. We'll get somebody else to do it.
Good luck.
They literally just laid turf straight over the top of clay.
Yeah.
Like hard clay.
Yeah. I'm driving in and out of Madawi every day and there is a new estate going up and I watch, some of those houses and then the next day they've got turf and I'm thinking, my God, there is no way since 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon to 7:30 this morning you turned all that over and put the appropriate topsoil on and then you laid your turf. You've just laid it's straight over the top of the subsoil of clay. And I'll see it in 6 weeks completely dead, but you've got your paycheck and you're out of here. So,
well, see, this is the thing, right? The lawn programs that, not saying you, Chris, have written, but the lawn programs are designed to cater for this.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this because living on the East Coast and having paid attention to what happened at my parents' house when I was a kid, I've seen the results. If you have a rock with grass on top of it and you water the grass will find the nutrition in the rock as long as it's got enough water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? If you take the water away, the grass dies.
Yes.
So if you have two things, if you have something for the grass to find nutrients in and you've got water, it'll grow. But what happens is on the basic lawn care program, it's going, all right, let's just apply something to fix one of those two deficiencies. Let's apply more water or let's apply artificial nutrients.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is, right? So come in, Chris, and fix my problem because we've put turf on the top of a rock and we're watering it.
Yeah. To a T. And as soon as you say, well, you're missing quite a lot of goodness underneath your turf. They tend to not care about it, unfortunately, and they tend to kind of go, well, so I can just keep watering it and it will be fine, and I will always have this waterlogged grass that never dries out, but it will be green. And you're like, oh gosh, and it's unfortunate because it's not their fault. They've just, God forbid, spent nearly $1 million on a nice home, and they're expecting, obviously, to be able to go, okay, well, someone in that financial position tends to have enough money to, or forethought or desire to actually care about their lawn.
Yep.
And then they're just hit with, I don't know who is doing it, but unfortunately, that's all Kikuyu over the top of just a heavy clay base, and it's never working.
So the other thing I see a lot of is not just the grass being thrown on a rock and told to water it and fertilise it, but the other one I see is in the new subdivision, they've got a clay backyard that is shaped like a basin, and every time you get rain, it fills up with water and it just stays waterlogged because it's clay. The water doesn't go anywhere. It stays there. Yeah. Right? So they ask you to quote on putting in drainage.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, drainage is not going to fix your problem. Drainage is just going to make your grass die because it's dry.
Yeah.
So instead of it being waterlogged, it's going to be dry.
Yeah. And then
so
you're going to be annoyed.
Drainage.
You're going to be annoyed that we've installed drainage and you're watering 3 times a week now to keep it alive.
Well, all the water's just going straight into the drainage.
Exactly.
So if your grass is just sitting on clay and you've got the, your big fork of drain going right through all the middle of it and then getting drained out the end down onto the road, every time you water it, the water's just going out to the road.
Yep.
So a good soil profile should be, let's call it 80-20 mix. It's a lot more complicated than that, right? But your 80-20 mix means it's got good drainage, it's got a lot of nutrition in there, and it's got something to actually hold the water in there, but still let it flow without getting waterlogged.
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
which
those
is
components.
where all of my care plans have, I've got, top of my head, I think 3 possibly, different wetting agents in my arsenal, depending if I'm putting a wetting agent out here in Madawi or over the sand in Lemon Tree or the sand in Nelson Bay. I've got that's where my care plans, like even my bottom level care plan has wetting agent included in it, so I know that you're getting your maximum and the client's getting the maximum out of their water, depending on where they are, because the clients that aren't interested in watering their lawns, they're pretty hard ones to twist their arms to actually get them to start watering their lawn. Especially you rock up and give them the invoice and then say, well, hey, look, this is my invoice, but on top of that, I'm actually going to bump your water bill up a little bit. And they're like,
I'm Gary Ashton, and I'm here to help business owners succeed and enjoy being in business. Does running your business feel chaotic? Maybe you started it for freedom, to live the life you wanted, but now you're stuck in the grind, overwhelmed and exhausted. The stress doesn't stop. You work harder, but nothing really changes. Get real support at Think Tank Coaching. Get crystal clear on future goals, your ideal customers, and the numbers to focus on that will move your business forward. If you're ready to make a change, let's talk. Book your free strategy session now at thinktankcoaching.com.au.
Well, so I want to ask you some questions here, but I'm going to put another couple of facts out there. Facts, right? If you're trying to find the ideal client, one of the things I talk about is their annual value rather than their per cut value.
absolutely.
So if you base it off the average Australian customer is happy to hand over $80 for a service and they're not concerned, and you do that 20 times a year, that's $1,600 a year.
Yep.
That's simple maths, right?
Yeah.
If you're chasing somebody with a care package, then I'm guessing you at least double of that for that particular client. So they're invested. They're going to spend some money.
Yeah.
And I would say my model that we were talking about earlier with the 3 quotes puts somebody at less than double, but it's probably somewhere between 1,600. From there, we're aiming for $2,000 to $2,500 a year for that type of client. That's normally an $80 cut.
Yeah.
We're pushing them up from $1,600 a year to up to $2,500.
Yep.
If you can get them over $3,000, then you're probably going to be able to have them turn the tap on a couple of times a week.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. I had a client that came over from Fox and was more than happy to jump on board with the care plan. And
Yep.
they were I have to be the best. I have to be the best looking lawn. I have to have the nicest lawn on the street. Or the
So
second.
they're willing to spend then.
They spent. Yeah. And they actually almost, I think the biggest argument we had in the time I was with them was, you don't need to water every day.
Yeah.
Like, dial it down.
Yep.
Every day is going against us here. We're flushing too much. We're overwatering. Yes, you're on sand. Yes, you, for some reason in the 60 odd years you've been looking after your own lawn, you've come up with the conclusion that it needs to be raining every day at your house. That was probably our biggest butting heads, where we had to actually
tell them to back off.
back it off, extend the duration. When we did all the testing, we made sure they were getting the right amount of meals per the time period. That they were let's do it for 10 minutes every day kind of client, instead of let's do it for half an hour, 45 minutes every 3 days. Every 4 days.
So tell me, from your experience, the East Coast, obviously you've got days where you get 100 mils of rain in one day. Excuse me. That's different. That's the exception.
Yes. Yeah.
You're making up for the lack of rain. So you're going, okay, we got rain on Monday this week. We probably don't need to water 3 times this week, but the other 2 times you're aiming for sort of 2 to 5 mils in a watering day, or are you aiming for 10 mils?
It depends where. And even in the suburbs, it depends where.
Yep. Okay.
The couple of clients
catered to what you're dealing with.
Yeah. The couple of clients I have that are high up on the hills in Nelson Bay, they get a little bit more because they are also situated in a lot of wind. Yep. Every day I'm there, I'm wearing this. It's probably going to get worn. Maybe not, but it's probably going to get worn at that place for the longest time throughout spring.
Yeah.
It's windy. You're looking down at the beach. All you get is the coastal breeze. And even if you go to the bottom of that hill, you can dial it back quite drastically because they're not getting the wind anymore. But you come over to here in Medallion and you dial it right back because we're all on clay. It's not going anywhere.
So wind will dry out the lawn quicker than heat will, and you're talking consistent wind that's over 10 kilometres an hour is going to be drier than if you have a 25-degree day. You're talking 30-plus degree days before you get similar sort of drying from heat.
Yeah. Yeah, so those couple of clients, I try. One of the big things that what I wanted to leave Fox from, and what I wanted to adventure into my own own business was, I really wanted to try kind of take that old saying, I'll treat your lawn like my own.
Yep.
Where every contractor has said it once upon a time to.
Excuse me.
You're right.
I'm getting that cough coming on now.
Every contractor has said that to try, I suppose, butter up the client to make them feel a little bit better. But I wanted to take it to the specifics where I do treat it. If I go to your house, let's say over the course of 10 times, and 9 out of those 10 times are windy, that's written down on your client profile, and I know that, and I adjust accordingly to that.
Yeah.
Whereas if I go there 10 out of 10 times and there's no wind, and I'm looking at the weather app and it says, it's a windy day today, and I'm looking around being like, well, yeah, I can see the trees over there are windy, but here doesn't seem to be overly windy. And then I speak to the client and I say, hey, do you get a lot of wind here? And they're like, no, not really. And that goes on the client's profile. And I note that with my applications that, yeah, you're less likely to need an intense amount of water. You're also a client that I know I can dial back how attentive I have to be. I've got one client out in Shoal Bay where I do have to be very, very attentive to it because he lives in Sydney. It's a Airbnb holiday house. And when that's vacant, I'm sometimes the only one that goes there. And there's moments where he's on the top of the kind of attentiveness list because if it goes 2 weeks between me being there and I'm the only one there, then I need to keep on top of the little things that pop up and let him know of those little things. But I also need to keep on top of his irrigation and make sure it's working and let him know. I personally don't know a great in depth about the actual irrigation system. So if I notice something's not working while I'm there, he gets a phone call immediately. So that's where I try to take the whole I treat your lawn like my own. I try to be that just a little bit more understanding of what that exact lawn's doing and where it is and how it's reacting to what I'm putting on it.
Yeah. So properties like that would benefit from having an irrigation system that has a Wi-Fi component that reports back to the property owner or to yourself to be able to keep you updated on what's going on.
Yeah, big time. It really would.
And if it has a weather station built into it, then that helps even more.
Which it does, which I was very fortunate for because he said, I'm not up there for 2 months. And I was like, oh my God, all right, I'll jet around tomorrow and turn off your irrigation because we don't need it. And he was like, oh no, it's whenever it rains past a certain mill, it, will shut off for the following. I'm like, okay, great.
Okay, nice
cool.
to know.
Someone had some forethought to that. That's good. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And I think there's still a way to go with those sorts of irrigation systems to make sure that they're super effective, but at least they're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, we're on the way. A long shot,
yeah. It's interesting discussion, Chris. We've covered a lot of rabbit holes here, but we're building a bit of a picture as to what your business looks like and the type of clients that you're interested in. So how does that look for you financially at the moment? If we and tell me you don't want to talk about anything, but I always like to be able to tell people whether they are aiming for financial numbers that make sense in their business. So when I interview somebody like you, what does that actually look like? I like to use numbers that range across different figures so that gives people good insight. So one of the numbers I like to talk about is the daily turnover goal that people aim for, because rather than going, well, what do you charge per hour? It's like, okay, if you do 2 jobs in a day and you're still aiming for $1,000 a day or say $800 a day, that $600 to $800 a day seems to be pretty common across Australia at the moment. But there's a lot of guys over $1,000 a day. Still a few guys that are around $300 or $400 a day.
I've never sat down and figured it out down to the day, even down to the week. And I know that's a lot of business kind of gurus or not even gurus, but people that understand business would always say, you need to know your daily, weekly, monthly figures. Otherwise it can bite you big time.
Yeah.
I admittedly don't focus much on, okay, well, I've got 6 jobs on today. They're 45 minutes each job. There's 15 minutes between each job. That's 6 hours. Like I've got to be able to be in and out in 6 hours. Otherwise I'm not profitable and I'm going behind.
Yep.
I just go, all right, well, I've got 6 jobs on. I'll see you when I'm home. And I get in the car and I cruise through my 6 jobs and I do what I need to do and I get it done. It does. I do keep on top of it, sorry, and I do keep a generalized kind of, let's aim for this. Let's do better if we don't get that, in the sense of like, okay, reevaluate your hourly figure.
Yeah.
Is the client actually working? When I went out there and did the quote, is the money transitioning to what the work is actually now doing?
Yeah.
I do keep on top of that, but figure wise, I don't really set myself a goal in the sense of like a daily goal or a weekly goal or a fortnightly or even monthly
Yeah.
that I like push to kind of get. I'm also have my minimum. Like I've got to do it, otherwise there's
Yeah.
not lights on and there's not food on the table, and there's not fuel in the car.
Well,
There's
I guess
minimums, yeah.
this
but-
is why I think it's worth looking at the different amounts, because you can go back and forth between them. Like somebody who says they do $1,000 a day, that's $364,000 a year, right?
Mhm.
But they don't do
If you want to
7
work,
days a week.
yeah, every day of the year.
They don't do 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, right? So they're not hitting that number.
Yeah.
So, but if you aim for $1,000 a day, but your goal is $200,000 a year, then you can go, okay, I'm allowing for the fact that summer's going to be busier than winter. I'm not stressed about knowing if I hit $1,000 a day in winter. If I know that my goal of $200,000 a year is going to be met because I average $500 a day or whatever it is,
Mhm.
or, 10 grand a month or whatever that might look like. And that, I think that's important. I talk to a lot of people, and that's one of the things is you don't need to follow every metric, but you do need to know roughly what you're aiming for.
Yes. Yeah. In that concept, I aim to be better every month than I was the month before.
Yeah.
With the exclusion of obviously winter, because that would be
Yes.
that'd be a pretty hard one to make winter better than spring and summer.
Yep. Well, it can be done, right?
Hey, don't get me wrong. This financial year, I know we're only 28 days into it, looks a whole lot better than last month's. So this month is looking a lot better. But
Yep.
I tend to kind of reevaluate each BAS and go, which is every 3 months, and go, okay, next 3 months, it's still winter, July, August, September. Like we're not seeing spring growth in September.
Yep.
We still we'll be putting the feelers out to bring everyone back into the 2 weekly mows, but we're going to get a lot of bite back. And I'd go, this is my minimum that I need to bring in for the household. This is my minimum I need to bring in for the business.
Yep.
Let's hit those.
Yep.
Let's go above those. But yeah, I think I just take each year broken down into each quarter and just make them better. And I reevaluate at the time what I did wrong, where I'm going forward, how I can get forward, how I can do that, where I can spend a little bit less, how can I, consolidate my run so I'm not driving from Tanilba Bay to Nelson Bay in one day where there's, 40, 50 kilometres and a half an hour, 45-minute drive of non-billable time, while I'm also putting 50 kilometres of on the car for wear and tear, but also using 50 kilometres worth of diesel, which I know doesn't mean much, but you waste 50 kilometres of diesel a day.
It adds up.
That's 200 kilometres a week if you're working 4 days a week. That, geez, when you're looking at it that aspect, that's near 800 kilometres a month. If you're wasting it, bites you pretty quickly. So figures wise, to answer your question, I don't think I have a figure in my mind. It's just I want it to be better.
Yeah.
But I also want it to be better in the sense of so many cliches I'm unlocking here.
Well, I said, say as much or as little as you want to. I'm going to keep coughing my guts.
The backbone of it is to be profitable. Every business is, and as much as you desire to be money hungry or not, you have to be profitable. Otherwise, your money runs out and
Yep.
you physically can't do it. My profit it doesn't really come massively just in money.
Yeah.
It comes in the quality of work, how I'm doing the work,
Yep.
how, to be quite frank, how enjoyable the customers are is massively profitable to me.
Yes.
The level of, and it's not freedom by any measures, but the level of being able to say, look, I can only work 4 days a week.
Yep.
Physically. I also do have, like, I had quite a bad motorbike accident that rendered me with a really bad back injury. I've got a really bad elbow injury. So I have a lot of personal physical limitations to being out 5 days a week, flogging myself.
Yep.
I then also, I've got 2 kids. I've got a partner who needs me at home. So the flexibility of being able to kind of manage all of that, my health, being at home, being there for my partner when she needs me, running the business and running the business profitably, that's kind of where I sit and go, that's my goal.
Yeah.
Instead of, I have to earn $200,000 this year or I'm a failure. And if I don't hit that,
Yep.
let's break that down to my 4 days a week. And I need to be out there earning $1,350 a week, a day, sorry. Otherwise, I'm never going to be able to get there. If I don't get there, then I'm a failure. And it's like, whoa, man, nah. Like,
Yep.
I don't really have a kind of goal. It just be better than it was. The easiest way I can put it. Yeah, and that's just where I'm at now with my business. Like I said, I only started into this independent business in February. I know there will become a turning point where I go, okay, well, if I want to actually employ someone, I've got to work. Probably 6 days a week, bigger hours, kind of get the work there so that other employee can actually come on board and do it. Otherwise, they'll just be bored twiddling their thumbs with no work.
I guess this is part of the point of why we talk about these sorts of things, right? Because we have established that 4 days a week for you works reasonably well.
Yeah.
Right? If you put on an employee, then presumably you're going to make more money, more profit, not just backwards, right? That's why a lot of people, like I've said about myself, go back and forth, grow, shrink, because it's like, hang on a minute, have I actually analysed the numbers well enough to know that when I'm paying an employee to do some work, that I'm making money?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I read a lot of the Lawn Mowing Contractors Australia page posts people make, and they're like, I scaled down from a team of 4 to back to solo because I realised it's more financially viable, better for me. And it's like, cross that bridge when it comes, if it comes. Until then, I'll just, I just pretty much make sure I've got each quarter's looking a little bit better than the last quarter, and each financial year is looking better than the financial year before. And which if we look at the 2 years with Fox and the was it February, half a year or so by myself now, we're on track. It's going forward. So that's how I kind of deem it. But yeah, I mean, if we put a figure to it, it would be over 150 a year.
Yeah.
Not profitable, obviously. That's what is it? Is that net income
or gross
income?
turnover?
Yeah. I never understood the difference between those two.
Yeah.
That's gross, but that's 4 days a week on average. Probably less actually because I take a bit of time off winter.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing that people will sometimes neglect there, and once you start going down the line of business you're doing, this becomes more relevant. Looking at gross turnover and gross revenue is slightly different. And I'm not asking you to break down that. I'm just simply putting it out there. Because you're buying product for people's lawns, that affects your revenue.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are simply providing a service, then your turnover and your revenue are the same thing. But the moment you're purchasing product and selling product, so fertilizer, that means that's product that you'd excuse me. You make a margin on it, but it's product,
Mm-hmm.
not a service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that changes things drastically for a business. So I've talked to guys that do a lot of treatments and don't do any lawn mowing, and it's like, okay, you can have a $2 million business doing treatments.
Sounds all awful like Mr. Coochie.
But yeah, you're spending you're spending 1.5 million on products
to pull that off. So yeah, and I mean, I'm absolutely nowhere near spending that amount of money. But geez, these products aren't cheap.
No,
They are when you break it down to application rate. They're extremely cheap. But
yep,
yeah, you walk in and you know, I do a lot of my shopping with Darren at Hunter Lawn Care Supplies, and by no means am I ever annoyed at his price or anything, but
yeah,
we've racked up some good bills. And
yeah.
that's just, that's just what I'm putting out over winter, and I'll see you in spring for a pretty similar purchase, because that's what's coming in spring. And yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's interesting for people to think about, is when they're looking at different business models, that becomes an important factor in knowing your numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, which in that aspect, I do have I actually learned how to use Excel to do this, which I was probably the only time that I've thought back, being like, I should have paid more attention in school when we were taught how to use Excel and PowerPoint and all that jazz. But I could take my hats off to ChatGPT for that one. That's taught me pretty much everything I need to know about Excel and YouTube.
Well, there's a bunch of helpful people in our community when it comes to learning the metrics you need to know for applying product and making sure you get that right as well. I think this is probably a great point to finish our interview today. But if you're talking about a average lawn care treatment plan, that you're providing for a customer, I've talked to numerous people about this, but it seems the profit margins are really great when the lawn is 200 square meters, and they're not so great when it's 2,000 square meters.
Yeah. And if you dial it back as well, it's not that it's not profitable, but you have a really hard time when you get people that have got the 50, 60, 80 square meters to want to invest into it.
Well, and this is what it comes back to, right? If I come to you and I say, hey, I'm going to charge you $80 to provide a service, you can do that without it hurting, right? But if I say, hey, I'm going to come over there once a fortnight or once a week and mow your lawn, it's $80. But then I'm going to throw you an extra $200 a fortnight or a month in fees for product. You start going, hang on a minute. Do I really want to spend that?
Yeah.
What do I get out of that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's fine if it's a 200 square meter lawn.
Yes.
When you're talking about the billionaires that have 3 acres and they want it to look spectacular, they still struggle to hand over the money.
Yes, because
but 3 acres to, I'm paying for fertilizer, I'm paying for whatever.
Yeah, even the equipment to apply, like you're not going out on a 200 square meter with a handheld at 2 kilos a go.
That's
you're
right.
out there with expensive equipment just to apply the materials, and then you're going out there at quite decent quantities of materials, and that's everything prior to you actually being paid to get out and do it.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, right? Anybody listening to this, go to Bunnings, hand over a few dollars, and you walk out with an Ozito spreader, a handheld spreader. There are other brands around as well, but the Ozito one works. I haven't actually used it.
Can I throw some shade in there at another brand from Bunnings and tell you to avoid it?
Well, there are better places to buy things than Bunnings. We can certainly say that. Yeah.
Avoid the Ryobi.
Yep. Fair enough. I've had some interesting experiences with some Ryobi equipment as well.
I run a bit, couple of little things, but they're handheld spreaders, the battery operated spreaders.
No
Shocking.
good.
You get the second you get any moisture in them, you're done.
Yeah.
And that's a cold night. I'm not even joking. If you don't, get in there with a high pressure air blower at the end of each application, and you've got any residue in there, and you leave it in the truck overnight, on a cold night,
you'll get some condensation.
It's got condensation. It starts to break it down, and it clogs up.
Yeah,
and that's not just from me. That's from I've heard that from a lot of people.
I'm not surprised at all, right? But let's compare, right? You're doing 50 square meters here, 200 square meters there. Your Ozito spreader or a slightly more reputable brand, similar sort of product, you'll find quite a few options there.
Mm-hmm.
If you step it up a notch and you're going, okay, we're going to do most of the jobs are in the 100 square meters, multiple 100 square meter jobs. Toro sell a spreader sprayer. Skag, I think, are bringing one in. There's a few brands now that are, and we're talking $20,000 to $30,000 machinery here. It's a stand-on spreader and a sprayer. You can get walk-behind spreaders, so smaller again, but still bigger than your handheld spreaders. But then you go from that $20,000 to $30,000 spreader sprayer. That let's go with the Toro one. That will be okay for your quarter acre blocks if you can find somebody who's spending money on a quarter acre block.
Yeah.
If you go one step up again, they have their groundsman line, and they are next level in terms of 1,000 litres of product in the sprayer and massive big hoppers for spreading as well. So if you're going to go serious and you're talking to the billionaire and they're like, yeah, we want an application across 3 acres, there is a tool out there that can do it. It's probably designed for golf courses.
But that's what you're looking for. And going back to that comment, that's the outlay just for a piece of machinery.
$100,000.
Doing it for them. You're applying a lot of fertilizing to pay off that one machine.
Yep.
And I think that's where that sweet spot is. I think under the maybe even you could stretch it to the 800 and under. Yeah. I think you can. Yeah, your most profitable is between. Yeah, I would say your 200 to 400 square meter blocks. I think you've just got enough greenery and you've just got enough lawn where you can keep the cost low and you can make a really, really good impact.
Yep.
Unless you've got one of those kind of show-off people that live on a corner.
Well,
that have the 600-800 square blocks. And
let's admit that profitability is about your rates, right? So you can simply go, I'm using the handheld spreader sprayer and this is the rate I'm charging. I'm profitable no matter how much area I do. But you don't get the customers. Once you use that rate, you're not getting the big jobs. No. So that's why you go up in size to the different machinery and the profit margins change, but the product is still expensive.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. If, I buy a bag and it lasts me 5 applications at the middle range application rate, or you buy 5 bags for 1 application, substantially difference in cost.
Yes. And you can start to buy in bulk. So I know if you're doing your own 50 square meters of lawn and you buy a weed and feed from Bunnings, it's not a terrible outlay. Mm-hmm. It's not a great product.
If it works, it's not a terrible outlay.
It works, but the results are vastly different between what you get from Bunnings with the cheap product, cheap application that you do DIY versus going to a commercial product that's designed for golf courses, sports fields, bowling greens, that sort of thing.
Well, I think you find that across everything, though. Luke Smith had quite an interesting podcast with a gentleman, and I can't remember his name, from ICL, all about the importance of basically, if you spend more, you will get a lot more for your money. And
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go to Bunnings and you can buy the cheap and nasty and apply it every 4 weeks, 12 months of the year, and you end up spending significantly more than just spending that big outlay for the one product you only apply 4 times a year.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
And I guess that's why I'd say weed and feed does actually work, but the results are going to be comparable to what you're spending. So
yeah, and compared to a good granular and a good herbicide,
good selective herbicide. Yeah,
the
massive.
results. Yeah, sorry, I should specify selective herbicide. Yeah, I don't know, if you go in with a non-selective, it's going to work. It's going to work real well on everything.
Results may vary.
You may have a lawn, you may not. We're not sure. Depends how well I washed out the tank.
Yep, that's it. Well, Chris, thanks for joining me in the podcast dungeon. It's been good to have a chat to you. We've covered some interesting topics. I've been coughing the whole time, but
thanks for having me. This is first time I've ever been on a podcast. I mean, I listen to plenty.
Yeah,
so it's nice being on the other side.
No, it's good to talk to you. You've been fairly new in your independent business, but to be able to see
February, yeah, very new.
yeah, to be able to see your history and your background and what's brought you to the point you are at the moment, I think it'll be interesting to see how you're going in 3 years' time and what sort of business goals you might have then compared to now.
Gosh, I hope I've got some good ones. I don't know. I suppose if we think about it, 3 years of always making sure each year's better. It's a pretty successful one if you pull it off every year.
That's it. Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me. It was that was good. It was good fun.
No problem. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to Aussie Lawn Stars. Please remember to rate and review the show on the Apple Podcasts app or the player you use. Exciting new shows are released every Monday. Make sure you follow or subscribe to hear the next episode.